Hello and welcome everyone, this is Dmitry and we are having another network programmability stream. Today we are going to continue working on one of my open source side projects, which is Python NETCONF YAML library. We started working on it a couple of months back. We had at least one stream about it, but today we are going to work more on it. Yeah, I hope you're doing all right, folks. And today I don't think we are going to do usual 3 hours. I guess it will be like around 2 hours or so. I just feel like I will not have enough, mental power to writing code for 3 hours straight. So probably today we are going to limit ourselves with 2 hours or so. Before jumping into today's topic, a couple of things that I would like to share with you as usual in the stream. By the way, if you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, and if you are not interested in some parts, I do my best to put a timecode in the description, so feel free to skip the sections that you may not need or you don't like or something like that. But let's jump right into the new stuff that happened this week and I would like to share with you. So there are not many today. Probably the most interesting one is I started evaluating TOML files as TOML format for config files. Mainly because for a lot of my apps I rely heavily on environmental variables, and before they were environmental variables, then I changed them to .env file and I was loading them with this library called Python decouple, which I think is really great. But at some point, for some of the applications excuse me, for some of the applications I found out that there are just too many variables, and .env files do not provide the flexibility I need. So everything in .env is string, so you don't really have any types. The Python decouple library can partially take care of that for you, but still, the format itself doesn't really have types or something. You don't have arrays, you don't have dictionaries, you don't have any of that. You just have key value pairs. And yeah, I mean, some of my config files are just big, and this, I mean, it was just a mess. I was looking at some alternatives. So I was trying to find a library that would satisfy my requirements, and also the config file format itself, which would make sense to me. So I knew about TOML for quite a while. So by the way, TOML is Tom's obvious minimal language, and the reason I knew about this format is because of the tools like pipenv and poetry, which do use TOML format under the hood. And at first I was very hesitant about the format, like, why yet another format? Why can't you use JSON, or why can't you use YAML or something like this? And I think YAML itself is the closest to being the most human readable and human editable, I would say, among XML, JSON, and YAML. But there are still some things that I do not like with this. So deep nesting, for example, is not really fun in YAML. Like your indentation grows, and people reading it should really understand how indentation works, especially if you have like arrays and dictionaries. You do really have to be careful, like on which level you have hyphen and stuff like that. So I found that people actually can read a little bit more complex YAML files. I didn't have really problem with this, with it mostly, but still it was something that kind of like, yeah. And you know, if you use Vim or something like this, and my V skills are actually pretty bad, and you know, well, unless you set up Vim, you have to really know where are your spaces, if there are tabs and stuff like that. And you also have to, well, probably by default your tabs will be as tabs, and if you use spaces like I do, then you have to do a bunch of spaces if you want to modify the file. Yeah, so I was okay with YAML itself, but I also understood why some people have trouble with it. I also found out later that YAML itself, by default, it's not a safe format, so it's very flexible. It allows you to convert something to an actual language-specific objects on the fly. And it's actually really dangerous because by default YAML allows you to execute arbitrary code depending on your language and your parser. So unless you use safe parser, which you really must with YAML, you open yourself to this kind of vulnerabilities where with carefully constructed YAML file you can actually run arbitrary code on your computer, which is very dangerous. There's a question in the chat: it's like a multi-format config file parser thing? Are you asking about DynaConf or about today's stream? So if you're asking about DynaConf, yes, this is a multi-format config file parser thing. I will talk more about it in just a second. So so since I was familiar with TOML in tools like pip-env and Poetry, my skepticism began to reduce, to decrease, and at some point I figured out, you know, I should give it a try. And this is what I did. So I gave it a try, and I really found out that it's super handy. I also read the specification of the TOML format a little bit more to understand some things, and I do think it's pretty cool format. It's very easy to read. It's very similar to INI format, but it has types. It has nesting without indentation to multiple levels, and yeah, I do believe it's very good. So then I also looked on this library called DynaConf. It actually supports configs in multiple formats. By default, they support TOML. It's their it's their default, but you can also load JSON, YAML, INI, even PY files if you want to. You can even move some of your secrets to either .dot files or something like HashiCorp Vault or Redis. And it has by default capability to switch environments, which I found pretty cool. And I migrated one of my work projects to it, and I realized how situation improved so in multiple ways, in both code, because I now all of my environmental variables are very nested. So for example, you may have a section for your IPAM system, and then inside of it you have credentials, or you may have as many sections as you want, as deep nesting as you want, and then access from like application would be like settings, let's say ipam.username or something, so pretty nice. And the fact that it allows you to switch environments very easily is also very good. On some of my development, on some of my production servers actually, I don't even bother changing the file itself. It's the same on my dev and on my prod, just because of the different sections, and the it selects the proper variables on my production environment, which I found super useful for me. So let me show you an example of the file, and there is also a comment in the chat. Honestly, I've never seen the benefit of adding something so custom like TOML, just the vanilla IETF JSON. If you need something a lot more complex, just go with SQLite. See, I disagree. JSON is cool when it's only written by the machine, and but if you need to have a human interact with this, it's just a mess. From my perspective, the amount of curly braces really makes it much more complex to read. But this is just my point of view. So I migrated one of my projects to it. Now I'm in the process of migrating the rest of my active work projects to this library and to TOML format. I really like it. I see a lot of benefit for myself and for the app. So let me give you an example how it looks. No, not here. Yeah, so something like this. So if I and there are TOML parsers for almost every language now, so it's absolutely not a problem. So here is an example that they have. So you have a section default with kind of like default variables, and then you have sections per your environment, so development, staging, testing, production, and here you kind of like overwriting default. Then they also have a global. I do not have any use case for global at all. Now, one additional piece that is not shown in the example, what you can also have is something like this. You can have development and you can have development netbox, for example, and you can have here username, admin, password, admin, maybe host as well, so let's say localhost, and then in your production you may have production.netbox and the same thing. So, and this could be something like netbox teamfiggle.me, and then the username is something else. So, and you may have as many these nested sections as you want. So you may have like production.netbox.something, and then the access from your app is going to be, well, first you specify an environmental variable to select an environment. So you say by default it's development. So you have to specify an environmental variable to say, oh, it's actually a production server. So you specify only that, and it will take this, well, this plus this. You can also rewrite some of the variables using environmental variables themselves if you really want to, or .env files. I usually use only this kind of stuff right now. Now, one of the other things that is not present in something like INI format is, besides dictionaries which are called tables in this format, You also have types. So you see that, you know, this is a string, this is a number. You also have true, false. You also have default devices, for example. You also have arrays. You know, stuff like that. So it's pretty rich format. So yeah, I really like it. Once I did it, try it. At the very beginning I was very skeptical. Yeah, and then from your app itself, so this is a file itself. I'm going to kind of like separate this a little bit. So in your app, you would say from DynaConf import settings, and then you would say settings, and then you can say something like netbox.username or something, or settings, let's say what message, for example, or something. So yeah, from my perspective, pretty cool. Okay. Yeah, so if you have any problems with config files, environmental variables and stuff, I recommend you take a look on DynaConf library, which allows you to have configs in multiple formats. And I also do encourage you to check out TOML itself. Maybe you will find it as useful as I did. Now, another thing that I wanted to share is I decided to take another exam. So Cisco network programmability design and something. So I was doing the NPDESI and NPDEF courses and on the digital learning platform to recertify my Cisco CCIE cert. And I just realized that, you know what, there is an exam on the same topics, so I should go ahead and try it since I just finished the whole course recently. So yeah, I'm having the exam next week. We'll see. I feel pretty confident, but you know, you never know. Maybe I am actually overconfident on this, and I shouldn't really be. We'll see. Okay, this is all that I wanted to share with you today. Let's jump into today's topic. Continue writing NetConf YAML library. This is second stream on this topic. Let me also close this. So what in general the idea, let me remind you and myself as well, since I was working on it so long time ago. The idea here is I would like to have a library which does some things for me easier when I want to communicate via NetConf with my network devices. So one of the first things that comes to mind is, in the very least, it should be able to convert the dictionary-like data, like for example in YAML. So I have here like test YAML. Should be able to convert this YAML to the XML, which is going to be used by NetConf. So this is like the very first thing that I need to do. So I had to write my custom XML, my custom dictionary to XML converter. We will have to verify that it works. I think I got it working, but I don't remember 100%. So we will have to do that. Now, another thing that I would like to have is to have client-side validation. So what this means is you get your YAML model and you have the data, and then you see if the data corresponds to the YAML model. I think this is something that was done by David Barrosa in Napalm YAML. So I think this, and I think they were using the PyYAML bind library or something. Let me see. Yeah, they were using PyYAML bind. I'm pretty sure this is something that I would need to use as well. So yeah, the idea is that you give your data and you provide a path to, well, you provide a YAML model in some kind of format, or you maybe download it directly from the device. And then the application should be able to say on the client side if your data is well, conforms your YAML model or not. So then, you know, you don't even have to send anything to your device if it isn't. This is another thing. Now the third thing would be to have a proper diff of the config in NETCONF. So let's say you have your config on the device in XML with NETCONF, conforming to YAML models on your device, and then you're building something locally, and then you would like to verify what is the difference between what it's supposed to be and versus what it is on the device right now. So you would also, yeah, I would like also to have this kind of functionality where I do have this proper diff, and maybe, just maybe, we could also add the automatic diff application. So once you build a diff, you would actually apply the diff to the device. I'm not very confident this is a good idea. I think it makes more sense to offload this to a user with proper markers, but we'll see. I do not know yet. So yeah, let's jump right into it. So the first thing we are going to do, we are going to review what I have done so far, and probably we are going to migrate some of the stuff here. So I'm looking right now. I see that the poetry version is very old. I see that I'm actually having a problem with my Python interpreter as part of this project, so first we have to fix that. Also, off stream, I downloaded two things. I downloading the same config from one of my devices in XML and in JSON, the same config. So ideally, if I supply the data in something like this, I should be able to get XML, which is exact copy. Now another thing that I have here open is I do have YAML RFC open. The reason why there are some interesting implications of leaf list and list, which could be a little bit not so easy to work with. The reason why that both leaf list and list, they are you can't apply operation replace on them, which is actually kind of sad. Okay, let's jump right into it, and give me a second. I think there's some small problem with my environment. And there is. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to remove my VNF and I think I'm going to remove my PyProject TOML file as well. Oh, sorry, I almost did a stupid mistake. I need to remove log file, not TOML file. Okay, yeah, this looks good, and I have to say pyenv global 368. Okay, and now I should be able to say mkvnv to create my virtual environment. By the way, this is an alias that I just defined. Okay. Okay, now a couple of additional things I want to rename this to ncyank. Wait, what? Why it doesn't? Oh, okay. So ncyank. Okay. So int. Okay, whatever. Okay, so now I should be able to say poetry what log. I think it's log. The current Python version is not supported by the project 3.6. Yes, correct. So it should be like this. Okay, so it's here now a log file. Yeah, this looks okay. So now I should be able to say poetry install. Yeah, and there is one additional change that I have to do. Poetry allow pre-release. Yeah, I will have to check on one of my other projects. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah, this is not correct, I think. So if I do poetry run pip freeze, yeah, not cool. Deep to some XML, LXML. Okay, black is installed with correct version. My py is installed with incorrect version. Py org my py. Yeah, it's the latest one is 0.65. Okay, so I think I can change this to star. Everything to star. And now I can say poetry install again. No, it didn't work, did it? Okay, updating my py. Okay, now it works. Okay, now there is another additional piece that seems to be off. I'm getting a warning here, so it's very likely that my interpreter is chosen incorrectly. No, actually it seems to be fine, but I'm going to re-edit anyway. So the PyCharm requires you to specify correct interpreter. This should be good. It will take a while to update all of that. Now, okay, I think I can run the script and see what is going on. So if I say poetry run Python and scripts test XML. Okay, so this is what I've got. Actually, it's pretty good now that I look on it. So let's see what it does. So it says, well, there is this library called LXML which can convert which converts the like XML object to string. So it says convert the output from the utils YAML to XML and scripts test YAML and pretty print true and then decoding. Now basically what it does, it loads this file, which is this, and then converts it to XML according to our converter, which we wrote here. By the way, I can also say this YAML to XML string. YAML to XML string. I think this should yield the same result. Yeah, okay. Let's look on this test YAML file a little bit more. So this is conforming to the model of the native model on ISXE. And you know what? I'm also going to load tool for NETCONF as well. So I need to go to projects, others, yank, stick it pull, and then we go to vendor Cisco XC, and I don't remember the version that is running on this box. So here's this box. And it's running 69.2. Okay, so let's go to 69.1 here. Okay, and there are our models. Now I also wanted to to load this. Yeah, I want to do docker start network explorer and then docker ps. Okay, I'm running this on the port 8080, so I should be able to go to localhost 8080. Not the, oh no, I think this. Okay, and then 1048 1830, and I don't remember. I think it's Cisco, and it will take a while to load. Okay, let me see if there were any questions. No, very good. Okay. Now there are a couple of things, you know what, I will have to wait until it actually loads. I may also need Visual Studio Code here. I think I will need. So I want to see code native yank. Okay, here is our yank. Now let me find leaf list. Leaf list username. Damn, it's not here. It could be part of the AAA. Leaf list username. Oh, it's not leaf list, I'm sorry. It's actually a list. So it should be part of the native model. Native, so it should be list username. Yeah, here we go. So when we have lists and leaf lists, this is where it may be a little bit tricky to convert it properly. List username. Yeah, so let's look on what I mean by that. So let's find here username. Okay, now look on this very closely. So we have here like some stuff, some other stuff. Now this username tag, it opens and closes multiple times, you see? So this is a list. Username here and username there. And then every since this is a list, then it has like name, privilege, secret. So these are leaves. I think this is called container. You can actually look here. So yeah, it's container password, and then the container has other leaves. So if you think about it, it may be tricky to convert this part to JSON. So let's look how it's data represented in via RESTCONF. So you have to find username. Okay. So this multiple username tags are actually squashed into one here. So you see that we have username and that this is a list. Okay, and yeah, it may be tricky to do. So converting from the JSON or YAML, which is essentially Python dictionary after deserialization, converting that to XML is not going to be a problem. But converting it from XML to this is actually going to be a problem, because we actually have to know what is list and what is not. Okay. Yeah, I think I really have to focus on this example. So let's modify this a little bit. Yeah, it's on the top level. So let's go here. And here we have to say username. And then I would like to do let's do name and privilege. So let's do name, say Cisco, and privilege is 15. And then name admin, privilege 15, something like this. So let's try converting this and see what is going to happen. Nice, it just breaks. Okay, I did not expect that. For now I will convert this to string, but I can add this to the to-do list. So to checklist. So handle integers in YAML, in dictionary actually. Okay, so I converted this to string. Meanwhile, let's run this again. Okay, it's actually converts stuff, but yeah, it's incorrect. VRF operation replace definition. I think even VRF is incorrect too. Let me actually see. VRF. So VRF definition, and then there are multiple instances of definition for different VRFs. Yes, this is also incorrect. So let's add this to the top here. So handle leaf. No, it's not leaf list. It's just a list. Lists correctly, and handle integers in dictionary. Okay. Okay, yeah, we will have to take care of this now. I think I will put off my AirPod here to try to focus. Since it's a recursive algorithm, sometimes it requires some thinking. I remember I was doing it last time on the stream, it didn't go so well. Okay, let's try to walk through this algorithm that I wrote. So here is my function. It says it returns E3 element, which is XML. Now we also say that there's another function which yeah, I'm not I will go through this first. You say if a root is a string, so you can say root is like config or something, then we convert this to XML. So let's say if you provide here word config, then it will create an element like this. So it will create config, config. And then here you can actually insert your data. Okay, so this is what it's doing. So we're converting this to XML, and then we apply dict to XML on data root. Okay, there is also non-local root, which is kind of like almost a global, but it's within this function. So this root, we can add objects to this root. Okay, so there are two cases. If the data provided is a dictionary or a list. So if it's a dictionary, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on. So I think I'm going to open my test YAML, and I'm going to move it to the opposite group. Okay, yeah, this should be much better. So I can kind of like look through here. So here it's what it's doing for every key value. So for example, first this is going to be native, and then the native contain, so key is going to be native and the value is going to be this. If the key starts with the marker, so in this case it's not, in native doesn't start with this underscore, so it's not. So key starts with attribute marker, attribute name. Yeah, I'm going to remove this marker from the left hand side, and then I'm going to add this in an attribute. Okay, so this part is I will actually mark a comment here. Handle keys starting with utter marker as tag attributes. Okay, so basically I'm saying that on my parent element I'm going to set this tag to a value. So in this case, for example, here, when I reach here and I say this is going to be an attribute and this is going to be a value of this attribute, since NETCONF requires you to provide the namespace and stuff. Okay, this part is pretty straightforward. Now, in alternatively, I'm going to convert this key to an XML first, which is here. If I don't have a root element, this first element is going to be a root. If parent is not none, then I am appending this element to. Okay, for now I don't understand what this means. If oh, okay, I think this makes sense. So for example, if I'm getting here, right, or somewhere like here, so let's say here, and I'm saying if there is a parent provided to this function, then when I created this element, I'm going to append this to a parent. So you create this like nested element and then you append it to parent. Okay, this makes sense. Okay, the only situation when we are not going to do it when we have a root. Okay, so then if is instance value, if it's list or dictionary, then I'm going to apply this function on the value. So in this case, for example, I took this as a key, this is a value, and then this itself is a dictionary. So then we are checking, oh, it's a dictionary, so I'm going to apply this function again. Now, if it's not a dictionary, then I'm going to do element text value. Okay, so here we are saying that, for example, somewhere like here or somewhere like here, we would like to move this as a text. So this is converted to something like name, and then here is your text value. So in this case, we have to name. Something like this. Okay, now we can actually go ahead and handle integers and floats here. I think it's not a big deal. Let's do this. If if is instance value, if not is instance value none or string, I'm going to say that value is equal to string from value. Or let's do this, if value is not none and not is instance of string, then this. Okay, this looks good. So now this actually handles the integers. So now I can convert this to integers and we should be good, hopefully. Okay, so it doesn't crash anymore, so this is done. Now this is not correct yet. Okay, now let's look what happens for the lists. Whenever there is a list, we must have a parent, which makes sense. So there is an error raised. Then for every item in data, I'm going to, yeah, I have to kind of visualize it. So let's say in this case, this is a list. Okay, so I'm being passed this list. The current parent is going to be definition. So for every item, so for this, I'm going to take this and convert it to XML and apply it on the definition. Yeah, this is where it is incorrect. Yeah, I see now. So I'm adding all of these elements to the same parent. This is the reason why we are getting incorrect XML. So in this case, I'm adding this to the definition, but it's not correct since I need to have multiple definition tags here. Okay, so let me think, how should I fix this? So whenever there is a list, I have to create a new this is not very good. Whenever I have a list, I also need to know about the parent itself. Yeah, not cool. item in value. For every item in value, I will have to create a new Okay, so here I need to create this definition element for every item in value. I have to do this. For item in value, list key is going to be this. And then I also need to append this. This is not going to work so well, does it? If parent is not none and not a list. Here parent append list key. Okay, and then maybe this. Let's see. Okay, this actually looks so much better. Yeah, look at this. This is, I think, exactly what we needed. So I have my native, I have VRF operation replace. Now you see that this definition tag is created multiple times here. So let's actually look on the correct data. So move to the opposite group. So let's look on the username. So username, name and privilege. Okay, and then username, name, privilege. Now on the same level you have this, you have VRF, which is here, VRF definition, name, address, family and stuff. Yeah, that's actually good. This is exactly what I needed. So now there is one additional piece that is no longer relevant, which is this. So what this really means is that you always have to provide a dictionary. Damn, but let me think. What if you have a data which is what if we have a data which is something like this? I don't think it's valid, right? I mean, we can't convert this to XML since nah. I mean, this example is definitely not correct. But what if I say that I would like this to be a parent of some element, let's say native or definition? I think it should it work? No, we'll just not support this. Okay. So then we can rework this a little bit. We can say I need always a dictionary. And if it's not a dictionary, then I'm going to raise a value error saying that provided data must be a dictionary. And then we can indent this, and we'll have something like this. Okay. Let's run this again, see that it still works, which it does. So it says native vref username operation replace. I'm thinking I would like to actually try it on the device. So what if we I'm going to copy this. I'm going to have this config YAML. I'm going to remove this part. And also I have to be very careful since I think I need at least one VRF. I need management VRF. Okay, let's do this. I would like to have management VRF and live VRF, and then we also have stream and VRF1. I would like to get those deleted. So we have this, and yeah, and also let's have IPv6 in both of them, or maybe not. Okay. So I create this. I have here operation replace. So if I run this config YAML, okay, native VRF operation replace definition, address family definition, live and stuff. Okay, cool. So now I would like to apply this using NETCONF. Glenny Venter, thank you very much for following. I'm sorry, for some reason not all of the notifications are popping up. I noticed this problem for quite a while, but I'm not sure how to solve it actually. Okay, I will need one additional dependency here for tests. I will have to add poetry at dev ncclient. Okay. And here we have to write our script. So let's say I will actually look up one of my examples from previous streams. Okay. This is a weird example. Now here it's going to be utils YAML to XML string, and then we say config YAML. Now, if this works as I expect it to be, let me also log into this box. So I have here show VRF, and it says management stream VRF1. I would like to end up after this is management and live VRFs, but not these two. The whole benefit of me doing this is otherwise you would need to build Jinja template for NETCONF, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to build Jinja templates for NETCONF. I would like just to provide my data with specific keys conforming the young model, and then it just goes ahead and does the magic for me. That's why I want this. That's why I also want to have client-side validation as well, so that the library could actually say, oh, you know what, this doesn't conform your model, so you shouldn't even try applying that. Okay, so let's see. So response XML, device conf edit config target. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this looks good to me. Oh, you know what? Not quiet. Not quiet. Good. Yeah, it starts with config, and I don't have config here. So what I have to check though would be what happens when I say so if I say here that root is going to be config, so let's rerun our script. Yeah, look at this. So I have this here, then I put a config, and then it wraps everything with the config. This is what I need as part of the ncclient library. Okay, this is good. This is good. So then in our here, I will also have to say a root is equal to config or something. Okay, let's run this now. I have hopes that this works actually. Right. Oh, okay, because it's not admin, it's Cisco. try this again. Yeah, scripts. Nice. It says RPC reply okay. I really wanted to do that, like this famous YouTuber PewDiePie does. NetConf review. Okay. Damn, this is epic. This is epic. Look, so I have this file here. I don't have any Jinja template or anything. And it actually goes ahead and applies NetConf for me here. And I am with live and management VRFs. Not this file, I'm sorry, this file. So it just went ahead and applied this for me. You know what, let's actually add more. Let's add stream. I'm not very original here. So let's run this again, and it says okay again. So if I go here, show VRF, I have my stream VRF here. So the main benefit here is that I'm using NetConf, but I don't do any kind of Jinja templates at all to get this done. I'm a little bit proud of myself here. Since I really like NetConf, I think this is the way, this is the way how network devices should be configured. And I would love to see more support from every vendor out there, more models and all that stuff. I do think it's actually improved situation quite a bit, but the tooling around NetConf Yank right now is pretty weak, I would say. So let's say, yeah, you want to use NetConf, okay, with your device. So how do you actually use it? I mean, you have your ncclient library. Okay, what's next? So people, you know, the examples that you find would be, oh, let me build this XML Jinja template, and then let me have my data. And then I'm going to have in my Jinja template, actually I have an example of this. Let me bring this up. Because this is how I did it on the stream when we were discussing NetConf. So I was doing here net templates, and here's what I had. I had here like for loop, and then here if statement, if something is defined, if this is defined, if that is defined. I think it's just pretty lame. In this case, and by the way, so I had this template, and I had in my file, I had here the data as a dictionary. You could have it in YAML or database, doesn't really matter. So I had this, and I had my Jinja template. I was applying them together, and then boom, I get my XML config. But writing this Jinja template is just horrible. I mean, if you try to build this Jinja template for your whole config in NetConf, you're going to hate yourself and everyone around you. So this is the reason why this kind of idea of this library was born. I wanted to apply NetConf, but I don't want to do this. Like, it's just horrible. So here, this is the only file I really have here with my data. So this conforms my Yank model with some markers like this, which starts with underscore, and like this. So we're saying, oh, okay, on this particular element here, I would like to do operation replace. or on this element here, I would like to set tag XML and NES something, and then it just goes ahead and does this for you. Yeah, and yeah, this is cool. So I applied it again, it worked. You know what, now let's try extending this data a little bit. So let's say I would like to add RDs and RTs, you know, all of that stuff. So how do I do that? So, well, we verify how this data is represented in the model. So I know that I'm looking for a list called VRF. Is it a list? Actually, is a list a VRF, or no, it's not correct. The list is definition. Wait, what? Actually don't know what this means. I do not know what it means. Uses config vref grouping. Was it moved? I don't think so. No, this is not it. So, where is it? Seems like it's not part of this model. Could be this. Nope. You know what, folks? Now I'm lost, actually. I was pretty confident that this is part of the native model, but I don't see it here. You know what? Okay, we have this. Okay, so I still should be able to work with this model here. So let's say native model. native model. Ref. Well, it's part of the Cisco and SYank Cisco SXC native container XPath native VRF definition address family magic path. I'm looking at the correct file, folks. So the definition is supposed to be a list, and then something like address family or a P4 or route target. Route target is container. Okay, let's try finding this. RD. Oh, RD, no, not RD. Let's do route target. And I can't find it here. And we also need to have list definition. The grouping statement is used to define a reusable block of nodes which may be used locally in the module. In module that includes it and by other modules that import from it according to the rules in this section. It takes one argument which is an identifier followed by a block of statements that holds detailed grouping information. The grouping statement is not a data definition statement and as such doesn't define any nodes. It's schema tree. A grouping is like structure record conventional programming languages. Once a grouping is defined, it can be referenced in a user statement. A grouping must not reference itself. Okay, here we go. So usage example, we need to have this grouping. Oh, I think I know what this means. Let me see. So name definition, type list, configuration, XPath, something. This is in some other file because of the grouping. So we have grouping, this, and the user statement. The user statement is used to reference, takes one argument. The effect of user statement of user's reference to grouping is that the nodes defined by the grouping are copied. Yeah, look at this. So we created this and then we use it with prefix here in a different place, and then we change something. So we reuse this and say, oh, by the way, the port here is different. So I have to find where this grouping is defined, and it seems it's not defined in the same place. Yeah, it's not defined in this file. So I think we will need to use something like, well, I actually do not know yet. So I think we have to find some grouping file or types or something like this. Let's try Cisco SXC types maybe. No, not here. Okay, then we use Linux how to find text in files. Okay, that's what I need. So I would need grep minus I RL. Is it L? Yeah, it's L, and then and then dot. Oh, it is defined in the IP. Okay, so Cisco SXC IP yank here. Okay, grouping. Here we go. So here is this grouping. So if you, what this means is that when we say uses grouping, we take inside of this element and just put it. It's basically a reference. So you have container vref, list definition, then the definition has a key name, and then description. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going almost on the fly, well, not almost, we will actually do it on the fly. So we are going to keep adding stuff here. You see, I don't have any Jinja template or anything. For now, I know for a fact it confirms the model because I'm looking on it in the different screen. So we will say here created using nc Python library. Okay, so we will add description, we will add RD, so RD is a type union which can be IPv4 address, it can be ISN IP type, or it can be just a string which contains digits, column digits. Okay, this is what we are going to do. So we say 100 100. So this is our RD. We have address family, uses vref maximum grouping. Okay, I don't want to see this part. So container address family, no, I don't care here, but I would like to see route targets. Okay, so we have container address family, there is container IPv4, and then inside IPv4 container you can specify a route target or something. I will change this to 1.1, and here in IPv4 I'm going to say that this is a dictionary where container IPv4 export container route target. Okay, route target here, and then it says uses VRF route target grouping. So I would like to have here route target. And then inside of this, it's a list of export. We'll say export, which should be a list. And we will have ASN IP. And stitching, and then import ISN IP. So import ISN IP. Okay, now I have to find these IS types, ISN IP type, and it says it's in iOS types. So maybe it's here in the types folder model. Yeah, it's right here. So type def ISN type, it's Jesus Christ. This regex is lovely. It's absolutely lovely. Look at this, it's matching. Okay, so like this. Oh, let's put different ones. We don't really care. We okay. I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Since it contains column, I actually have to put it as a string. Okay. So again, you see that I didn't do any changes to the. There is no template, Jinja template to make this change. So if I did everything correctly, which I did, it says OK after I apply this. So now what I expect is that if I do show VRF, okay, let's do show VRF config or show config VRF, I think. Show VRF. Show run VRF, I think. Yeah. Okay, so here is my management VRF. Here's my stream VRF, where I have my RD set, where I have my route target set as well. This is good. And again, I just changed my data, I didn't change anything else. Okay, I really like this. To be honest, I would like to even add some other key here. I don't have any ideas on top of my head. maybe like some routing. How about static routes? I think I do have some static routes here on the box. Let me see. Yeah, I have here IP route, and then it's IP forwarding list. Okay, if everything is correct, I have to verify that this is not a list, that route is not a list. If it's not, then I would be able to add my static routes super easy here. So IP and then route. Okay. So route is supposed to be container route, which I can't find. Jesus Christ. I think it may be in IP. I think it's, yeah, I think it's going to be an IP. So container route. Yeah. So container route, description, yeah. So since it's a container, I can do replace on the whole container as well. So right now I have one of my static routes pointing to 0.2 on gigabit 1. Wait, what is this? I actually have two. I have routes with two. I will show you. I will just show you. Run maybe around. Yeah, I have this. This is the only routes I have. So I'm going to modify this data a little bit. So let me move this to opposite group. And let's go ahead and do this change. So I'm going to replace on the IP route level. Where's this data? Here it is. So IP route, and then I have IP route interface forwarding list. And this is a list where I have prefix, where I have mask, where I have another list where I say forward is this, and the metric. Oh, and it should be a list actually. So a list metric is 2, and then in this list I also have forward gigabit Ethernet 1, and then interface next hop is IP address. Now there is additional things that I would like to double check. I also want to check that this is not a list. So interface next hop, because if it is, then I may be in trouble. Actually, it is a list. It is a list. So you have list forwarding list and then list interface next hop. So then I really have to be careful here. I have to do this. Okay. So this is our current routing table. So what I'm going to do, and let me think. I actually have to be really careful doing that, since if I break it, if I break it, then I will actually lose connectivity to this box, since it's a default route. Yeah. Okay. Wouldn't it be better to set a variable for the port instead of calling gigabit Ethernet 1 so the script can be reused? Sorry, you have to clarify what you mean, Nice Wolfie. I don't understand. I mean, this file that you see right now on the screen that I'm modifying, it's the file with your dynamic data. So I don't hardcode anywhere the data. So I can, and you can build this dictionary the way in code if you want to or not. So I'm just getting this config. I'm writing it in YAML, but it can come from different places. You can create it dynamically. You can somehow get the data from database and convert it to this format. The end result is that you need to have dictionary which conforms to the Young model, and then I don't really hard code this like in the script itself. It's part of the data. So let's do here mask will be what, 255, 255, 255, and then forwarding list is going to be, we'll say I'm going to forward this traffic to the same place without any metric. Okay. Now I also have here this marker called operation replace on the level IP route. So this is going to replace what is there already. You know what? Actually, right now I don't need this. I think I can do this. So for now, I'm not going to replace this. So it's going to be merged. It's going to be merged. It's not going to be replaced right now. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and apply this. Okay, it says okay. So now if I go to this device and I say show me routing, show me static routes, I actually have this new route coming here. Okay, so I still may have my old routes and I have this one. Now here is where I think the true power of NETCONF comes, but I already discussed it on previous streams so many times. It's this. Okay, so the next step that I'm going to do, I added operation replace and I change this prefix to something else. I change it to, let's say, 2222. Okay, so what this is should result in, this 2 should be here, but this one should be deleted and there should be a new one called 2222. Let's actually make it even more interesting. I will add it here, 3333 as well. So 1111 should be removed, and then these 2 should be there now, hopefully. So let's go ahead and run my script. Okay, so it says okay, and if I go to the device and I do show run IP route, look at this. So my static routes, my 0 default routes are still here. 1111 is gone, but these 2 are there. And the beauty of this is that I don't have any kind of Jinja template or anything. The second I change this data and I apply my script, it actually applies this via NETCONF. So, you know, folks, I'm actually very happy that we got this done. This, for at least for me, for my use cases where I want to use NETCONF for some of my network automation tasks, this simplifies my life a lot. So I would build this either file or dynamically. I would build this. And then I will not have any Jinja templates, which are so hard to maintain. Big Jinja files are just not fun. I think we can actually add something more, some other tree So let me think what we can do. I think we can do like something like access lists. Let me see if there are any. Yeah, I have two IP access list extended one. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Maybe generate a config file from it. What tell me what exactly do you mean, because I'm not 100% sure. Why would you want to have your config file if the only manipulation you do is via NETCONF? So you can do an auto config ultimately. Sorry, I still don't understand 100%. Clean device auto config. Oh, I can do this already. It's quite easy. You see this operation replace? I can move this operation replace down to the native tree. So I can move this. No, I will leave it. I will show you, because right now I can do it 100%. But so let's say native here, I add here operation replace. What this is going to do, it's going to replace all config on the box with what you have here. But I can't really do that right now. Well, you can't really do that until you have everything in your config. I mean, for example, I don't have here IP addressing. Okay, so what this will result in, it will kill my box, because I will lose IP connectivity. So if you are getting to the point where all of your config described here, then you can move this operation replace from your individual feature level to your higher level of native, and then whenever you apply this script, it's going to actually replace the whole config. Now speaking, I can actually do both IP access lists and I would have ISIS as auto config, so I can load enough IP addressing, so I can push a Python script down. Oh, if Wolfie, you have to. I would happy to help you or discuss this, but I'm still not 100% sure I understand. If you could like tell me the whole process from start till end, I can provide you my insight. I think right now what you are referring to is something like how to provision the box from day 0 or something like that. If this is the case, then yeah, we could discuss this. There are ways to do everything auto configured, and I actually did some zero touch provisioning, automatic one, but for ZTP you don't really need NETCONF at all, to be honest, since you know that the box doesn't have any config. You can generate the whole config actually from something like Jinja. I still think for like, if you don't do XML, if you don't build XML from Jinja, I think you could actually, you could create a config from Jinja template, an actual config file, and you would be able to do that with something like ZTP. So yeah, just let me know what exactly you want, and I will help you out, or I will just discuss it. Okay, meanwhile, I think we are going to add our access lists. let's replace access list and IP addressing. Well, there's a comment in the chat. Well, you can generate an HTTP to replace default config from Python. So for one of the projects where we were doing that. Yeah, okay. You know, folks, let me step back from NETCONF for a second. Let me address this. So the way we were doing provisioning of our devices for that project that I'm talking about, we were using the TFTP with options. Okay, hold on, let me remember. No, sorry, TFTP with options. We're using DHCP with options. I forgot the number for those options. And it allows you to get the config file from somewhere, from TFTP. So what we were doing, we were having a DHCP server on like Linux box. We have a file or entry in database, whatever, with MAC address of the management interface. So you have like your, you know, you have your switch 1, and then you say, okay, on this device I have a management MAC address this. So then on DHCP server, that device were getting its particular config from there. In our case, we were doing what is called minimal config. So we were, based on the role of the device, it was getting its own version of very simple config. It was just, I don't know, 20 lines or so, which were configuring NETCONF, RESTCONF, SSH, username with password that we knew, an IP address on the management, which was distributed by DHCP, but it was kind of, so the address you retrieve it via DHCP, but it's static, if you will. So, and we were assigning these static addresses based on the MAC address. So we were saying, okay, if I'm getting a request from the MAC address ABC, then you are getting this IP address. Okay. So once we have done that, and once there is a minimal config, the device is manageable, right? So you could then you can run your automation since it's manageable by script. So this is what we were doing. There is alternative way which complicates DHCP config a little bit. That instead of building a generic config, you would assign in your DHCP conf file, you would actually create your config files, one per device, and then you will get the whole config at the boot when the device boots. So you don't even have to run the subsequent script because you already generated those config files and you distribute them based on like MAC address or something at the boot time when the device has 0 config. So this is the alternative way, but it makes a DHCP dconf config a little bit more, well, much more complex, much bigger. I wouldn't say complex, it just gets very, very big. I hope that was useful. So 2 ways. One of them is doing the doing minimal config, which gives you a management to the device. Another way is to build the whole config and then push it at the ZTP level, which is also an option. Okay, so we to add more stuff here, we will deal with access lists and maybe even IP addressing. I think that would be good. Okay, so let me get an example. I need a level of IP. IP route, SCP, access list extended. Yeah, okay. So let's do access list now. An access list is actually a little bit interesting, a little bit more interesting because it has another XML NS. So we can see how that works. Okay, so extended is actually a list. Okay, cap1 filter list. I don't really need this, so I'm going to, yeah, it's too complex. I don't want to make it too complex, but these other two I'm going to copy. So access list, sequence rule, and obviously it's a list itself. So this should be sequence and ice rule. And this is going to be action permit, protocol IP, IPv4 address, and mask this, and destination any no. Okay, so I have this, and then I have another one which is very similar. So extended name is 110, and then access list sequence rule is a list, sequence 10, and then ace rule action permit, protocol IP. So any null and just any null. Okay, so yeah, I think this is enough. I think it's not going to work because I didn't provide XML NS. So let's run it. I don't remember if it's needed for nested elements. I actually don't think it's needed. I think it's needed only on, yeah, it's actually needed. So pass in trpc config native SSB extended. Yeah, I need this here. Okay. Not good. I am going to run my another script. Interesting. This actually looks good to me, but something is not right. And the error message is very cryptic as well. Did I close ACE rule? Yeah, I did. Protocol IP, IPv4 address is this, mask is this, destination any. This looks good to me. I don't understand. Yeah, I have it here. Access list, sequence rule. Okay, okay, we will do this. I will do this and this. So we will try to limit this as much as possible. RPC error, type application, null element, severity error, info is this, error info is this, IETF, bad element access list. I have no clue what is going on here. It's possible because of this. No, it shouldn't be. Did you close access list? Yes, it's closed here as well. Right here. RPC, editconf, ncclient, is native, ISIP, is minus ACL access list. I have one idea, but possible that it wants to have, no, it shouldn't be the case. Maybe it wants to have a prefix here for this element. But damn, it shouldn't be the case. Okay, we have this tool which may help us. So let's say I would like to get native IP access list extended. Okay, and how do I select it? I'm sorry that it overlays the chat, but otherwise it's actually really hard to read it. Native IP access list. I mean, this looks good. So okay, I can oh, okay. XML NS is on the wrong level. It should be on extended level. And another suggestion was about the protocol. Yeah, it could be also the case. So for this one, for the last one, so I have here name, access sequence rule sequence 10, ACE rule action permit, protocol IP, any null destination. Okay, this looks good. I think the problem is this: the XML NS namespace should be on the extended level, not on the access list level. Interesting. I may be in trouble doing this though. Yeah, this is a problem. So it should be on extended level, not on ACL level, not here. So okay, this is not good. Damn. I mean, if this is a list, how can I specify that there should be a namespace on that level, which is supposed to be a list? Makes no sense to me. Okay, I think we would need to how would we get it done though? I'm thinking of what is the best way to implement this, and for now all of my ideas are not, I don't like all of them. I mean, we can't change this. Well, what about if I just start adding this XML under any dictionary element? Is this going to be a problem? Is this going to be a problem? But it's ugly. I mean, it should not be on this level. Let's see, maybe it's even crash if I do something like this. Pretty sure it will crash. No, it will actually not. Oh, okay, this actually works the way I need. So on the level access list extended, it's going to be here. Okay, so this is what I need, but damn, I don't like this syntax. Okay, whatever. Maybe I will think of some better way to do it. Yeah, look at this, now it's okay. So now if I go to showrun I access list, here is this access list right there. Okay, so what we are going to do next, I'm going to change this to operation replace. I will let me see if this access list is applied anywhere. No, I don't think so. So I will comment this out for now. I will leave this out, and I will create another one very similar to this one. So let's say live stream, right? Live stream, access list, sequence rule 10, ACE rule, action permit, IP. Okay, let's say from 1111 to mask 255, 255, 255, 255, destination any. Well, yeah, I have to check how to do an exact IP address here. I guess it will be something like this. So the way we can do this is by checking the ACL. Here we have to find container ACE rule. Okay. Container ACE rule has leaf, protocol, and then it uses different grouping. What is, oh, it's IPv6. Okay, we have to find another one. Okay, IPv4, extended ACL grouping, ACE rule. Okay, first is action, deny or permit, protocol, object group string. Okay, if you want to use objects, then you can use this grouping. This grouping says there's choice, there is case, IPv4 address and mask, case, any case, leave any. Okay, so this is for source. All of this is for source. So you can select either IPv4 address and mask. You can select any. You can select host, by the way, which I think what we are going to do. So I think we can say here what? Host 1111. host case, leave host, description, it's IPv4 host, object group case, source port choice, blah blah blah. Okay, and then destination, and we can specify destination host. So I can say test host is going to be let's say 2222, and then the same thing, you'll say 20, and then 3333, and then 4444. Now I also want to say like deny IP any, so I think it's going to be like this. So sequence 30 action deny IP any. Okay, so now this is operation replace. So we are going to keep our net ACL, and then we also have live stream, but this the 110 and 120 is going to be deleted. So if I say show run IACL, let's do actually show run section access list to see all ACLs. So here are my ACLs. So this one should be gone, this should be still there, and these two should be gone as well after I apply this. And I have here operation replace. So let's go ahead and do that and apply my config. Okay, it didn't work, and I think, okay, it didn't work because I forgot about the namespace here. Okay, let's run this again. Yes, and now it says okay. So let's go here and check. Look at this. So this one is gone, this is still there, these two are gone, and now we have a new one, permit IP host, blah blah blah, IP access list extended not ACL, permit IP any. I think this is super cool. And again, I just changed one of my files with the data. I no Jinja templates, no crap like that, and we have, now we can actually manage all our access lists using this. So you actually can see a beauty that using this approach I can start doing I can do network config state, managing network config state on per feature basis. So you see that this my config is not full, right? I mean, it doesn't contain, let's say, IP addressing for my interfaces and stuff. But I started building this, putting this operation replace on appropriate levels, and I can now manage my VRFs in idempotent way. I can manage my IP static routes here in idempotent way. I can manage my ACLs in idempotent way. Okay, I think it's pretty awesome. So I can start adding more and more features to this data with this tag operation replace, and then I can continue keeping my config consistent. I actually really like this. So it doesn't require you to build one big config file or one big template, and then you have to like make sure that it's consistent. You can get benefit of NETCONF on per feature basis. For example, you can say, oh, managing access lists is becoming a pain. Okay, so let's have them in like one single place. And then start applying them consistently, so there are no ghost access lists, for example, or no ghost VRFs or something. So you could use some this library, for example, or you can build some. No, please don't build Jinja template. Please don't. I think this part is cool. So you can start building and expanding your automation more and more with every new feature. This is how we did it on the stream, right? I mean, I built it first for VRFs, then for static routes here, then for access lists. At first I was doing config merge, then I added this operation replace, and and we were managing network config state on per feature basis. I think I said on per feature basis already 10 times, but I do feel it's very important, and I do feel like this is how you can start getting benefit from NETCONF early on with something like this. Okay, so I think we will wrap up the stream. I feel like my mental power for coding today is getting exhausted, and especially when we are talking about like new library or something, you really have to think through like use cases, how people are going to use that. Is it easily extendable, stuff like that? Is it beautiful to use? Because once people start relying upon your library, changing all of that is not so easy anymore. So right now this is not, the NCYank library is not published anywhere. I don't even think I did any git commit to my public repo, but I already feel like this can be useful to people. I have to play a little bit more with this. I don't like this def YAML to XML, YAML to XML string, this and this. I think it's ugly, so I have to think through what would be the easier interface. I mean, I can return you XML, but you can't use XML directly with the ncclient library. You actually have to convert it to string. So yeah, I have to think this through, like how I can change this part, because this is ugly. This should not be part of the library. maybe it should be. I'm thinking. So yeah, this is the first piece. Like I have to think through how people would be interacting with this library. So you see right now I have these helper functions, and in my apply config file I was saying utils YAML to XML string. I mean, it's okay, but it's still kind of ugly. So this would be the first step. The second step is I have to investigate this one, PyYang bind, a plugin for PyYang that creates Python bindings for Yang model. I have never tried it before at all. So I think this may help me with yeah, I have to like read through the whole thing. I'm really curious. Now that I look at it, it seems like all of my work was useless, because it seems like they have something like this here. Load IETF JSON. Yeah, I have to play with this library more. because what ultimately I would like to have is I would like to have client-side validation of my data, so that the script itself, even before it's doing any netconf, it can say, oh, you know what, this attribute doesn't exist in your model. So you give this file and you give the model or models, and it should say, oh, it's correct, or no, it's not correct. But this part, I don't think it's actually going to be that easy as I think. It's a reason why that there are a lot of dependencies between models themselves. So for example, when we were doing this, we also had to use this different model as well. It's like nested model. So when you just look on the, if you provide me just this model, I will not be able to match that. So this can be tricky actually to do this validation across multiple models. But even, as I said, even if I will not have that functionality, I do believe that having something like this is useful. All of this is actually applied within a single message. Well, so we built one payload with all of this, and using one operation. You know what? Let me give you an example of, you'll see what I mean, and we'll wrap up in a second. What happens if some of this is just wrong? Okay, let's say I will add another VRF here, live2. Okay, I will add VRF here, but somewhere I screwed up the key. Okay, let's say I added here in ACE rule non-existent key or something. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what I believe is going to happen is, because all of this is part of a single operation, I will not see, all of that is going to fail, and I will not see any changes on the device at all. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, and this will be like the last piece. So I think I'm going to get an error, but the more important is, okay, I'm getting an error saying that non-existent key is a bad element. Now if I go here and I do show VRF, you can see that live2 VRF is not here. Okay, I also think this is super important. So even though like I have a mistake in some other model or something, right? It's native IP access list extended blah 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 right over here. Because of this one error, because this is one single netconf message, the whole thing failed. So I can guarantee that I didn't do any changes if there was a mistake, which I think is pretty cool, right? So this live2 VRF is not there. So now if I delete this and I reapply my script, it says okay, and then when I go here, I should be able to see my new VRF right there. Okay. Damn, this is so helpful to my own purposes at work that I'm actually super excited right now that I got this to work the way I want it to. Okay, folks, let's do a summary. Let me know if you have any questions while I will be doing wrap up. So today we continued working on Python NetConf YAML library, which we already had one stream before, couple of months ago. This is a second stream. I think today we got a lot of progress. We finished our, well, I wouldn't say finished, we made a couple of more steps towards getting finished dictionary to XML converter, which is kind of like YAML aware. And the idea here is that if you provide your data in a proper dictionary conforming to the YAML model like we have here, I also defined some markers here like for the namespace, for operation. The library will convert this to XML for you, and you can apply that XML directly with the ncclient library. So you see here, this is an actual script that a user would write on the left. So you say your ncclient parameters, you open a connection and you say device connection edit config, and then you use my library to provide the file, and it applies if you have data in the correct YAML format, it applies this to the box. And yeah, we verified it was working. What this allows you to do, it allows you to capitalize on NETCONF feature early on. So you can do network configuration management, managing of network configuration state on per feature basis. So you can say, oh, okay, I would like to keep my VRF consistent across different devices. So you can start on VRF operation replace. Then you can add other features. You can say, okay, I will also like to have my automation to handle IP route consistently. I also would like then to do the same thing with access list. So you can build step by step what you want. And the main benefit is of course this NETCONF operation replace. Regardless of what is currently on that particular hierarchy, it will replace the whole tree with your new data. Okay, so it doesn't even look that, okay, I had some VRFs here configured. It will always get you to the desired state, which is super important, and it's a big problem in the network automation in general. So I'm very excited about this progress that we did, mainly because I can already start using it for my projects where we need that. So the next steps for this library would be to check how can I apply PyYang bind library to do client-side validation. So for example, when I added this non-existent key somewhere here, right? Non-existent key. Ideally, I would like this library to be able to tell this to me even before I ran this. Okay, even before I established NETCONF connection with the device. If I provide this data and I provide the YAML model, I should be able to do client-side validation. This is something that I am looking forward to implement, but I can tell you right now it's not going to be super easy. But you know, maybe someone else would like to contribute. That would be awesome as well. So yeah, I will have to do some cleaning here, especially on these utils on this part. And once I do that, I should be able to publish this on the something like GitHub and PyAPI maybe as well. Right now the name of the library is ncclient. If you have some other ideas, please do let me know. I don't like this name so much, but yeah. Okay, folks. Thank you very much for being with me today. We didn't have a lot of viewers today, but that's fine. I got some work done. We got something to work. So I am happy with that. Thank you very much for being with me. I wish you an easy working week, and I see you next weekend. Thank you very much, and bye.